Then we have Richard Long. Now, he's an English sculptor, photographer, and painter. Within a year of his departure from St. Martin's, Long was closely associated with the emergence of a new art form, specifically land art, having already produced such works as a line made by walking, a photograph of a trail left in the grass by walking back and forth in a straight line. Now, Long makes his international reputation in the 70s with sculptures made from the result of his epic walks, sometimes lasting many days, to remote parts of the world. Guided by a great respect for nature and by the formal structure of basic shapes, especially circles, he never allowed exotic connotations to intrude into his work. Although some of his sculptures evoke the mysterious connotations of ancient stone circles and other such monuments. So what he's doing is he's creating these circles of different materials. The idea being that they are self-referential. They are not going to be looking at any exotic connotations. He's not making this in the shape of a cross or in the shape of a star or something like that. Instead, this most basic form, the circle, which forces us not just to look at the circle, but also at the materials as the material itself, not as something else. We're not seeing it as representational. So, different modes of presentation, sometimes combined, were used to bring his experience of nature back to the museum or gallery. From 1981, he also alludes to the terms of painting by applying mud in very liquid state by hand to the wall in similar configurations, establishing a dialogue between the primal gesture of the handprint and the formal elegance of its display. So when he does this, he's creating these circular forms. Obviously, these are not going to work in the gallery system. In fact, even indoors, they're ultimately ephemeral because over time, you're going to have to remove it just by the act of cleaning or dusting or trying to keep it looking reasonable. He stresses that the meaning of his work lays in the visibility of his actions rather than the representation of a particular landscape. So even here, it's all about the process. This is process-driven art. So you can't look at this and not imagine what it would have been like to apply this mud. Maybe where does the mud come from? Why is it here? Who's going to have to clean up after it? Because that's going to be, well, a fairly gnarly job. But one of his great pieces is going to be Ocean Stone Circle, and this is nothing more than a circle of these stones. So his indoor works demonstrate the ability to take outdoor monuments into the gallery space. His circles become a visual reminder of the performance associated with his walks, because you can't look at it without imagining what it would be like to put this together, to place these stones. They allow the artist to infuse the urban environment with the natural world, something that's become very popular today with everything from moss bath mats to welcome mats made of stone. Now, by the way, kind of an interesting thing to think about. This piece sold at Sotheby's for $96,000. So imagine what someone would have gotten for this auction. This is the perfect example of ephemeral art selling. So when he sells it, you can just imagine someone receiving a big box of these stones and instructions which are nothing more than make a 13-inch or 13-foot circle and then lay the stones inside of it. To a lot of people, that's absolutely ridiculous. And it shows sort of the over-the-top nature of the art world and the art market. But at the same time, it does speak to the temporary nature of Long's art. This insanity of buying what is nothing more than ocean stone, than these stones, these basalt stones that he finds near the ocean. It's really a remarkable piece, and it does subvert the art market, but it also brings us environmental ideas. For example, is it right for him to take these out of the environment and to take something that's ultimately free and simply by his presentation of it in a gallery make it into art? So basically, the idea plus the stones equals $96,000. Really does speak to the market and these environmental issues.